Right, so here goes. Um, yeah, it's a pretty windy day down here in Devon, in England, in the UK. It's 10th of April, 2023. Um, and like Ramesh would say, why does anybody do anything? Um, um, yeah, he would suggest only one practice, really. He said you can meditate as much as you like. You can stand on your head for 10 hours. You can do yoga. You can run a half marathon every day. Whatever you want to do, just do what you think and feel like doing. He had no advice as to any sort of practices to, um, I don't know, to attain what everybody calls self realization or enlightenment or um, you say do whatever you like. But if through listening to his teachings, um, and really listening, not trying to grasp the words and the concepts and trying to jump in and make sense of the words or argue with them very often. If you can do that, if you just listen to the teachings, just let them, I don't know what the word is, just um, reach your heart really, rather than your mind, your thinking mind. Um, that you can reach this state of realizing, and it's not something that you can make happen. It either happens or it doesn't happen through the will of God or cosmic law or the One, or the Great Ordinator, whatever you want to call it. Um, that you will come to the realization that you are not the doer, that you just do things as a result of arising conditions, and depending on your genetic makeup and up-to-date conditioning, both of which are out of your control. That you just do things. And I'm just doing something now. I'm making a video. It's windy, and I thought, I often say about the Buddhist concept of the eight winds of the world. And they don't teach you this as kids in the West. They do in Buddhist countries. They just say, it's um, or even in Islam, inshallah, God willing, everything happens in accordance with God's will. And for things to happen in accordance with God's will, we have to do what we think and feel like doing. But the only advice Ramesh would give is that at the end of the day, after you finish work or school or gardening, whatever you've been doing, is to get yourself a cup of tea or a beer. Ramesh likes a bottle of beer. And just reflect upon what was my action. What happened today? What actions did I take that was my actions? That I was the author of them. Just think of one thing. I went to that restaurant for lunch. Well, I went there because, on my way to the meeting I was going to, I saw a restaurant. I'd been there before. I'd had a nice meal. It wasn't that expensive. The waiting staff were very attentive, and I told them I was in a hurry, and my lunch was served 3 courses and drinks very quickly. The reason you went to that restaurant for lunch is because you've been there before, remembered you had a good experience. So I'm making this video now because I thought, it's windy. I was going to go for a walk, and it started raining, and I thought, I'll do a video, and I'll do it on the eight winds of the world, this Buddhist concept. And these winds will blow on all of us at some time in our lives. Sometimes even on a daily basis, you can go through have all 8 winds blow on you, and I think that it's a Japanese Zen Buddhist story, parable, if you like, that there was this Japanese lord who enjoyed great success. He was a fantastic swordsman. He served his master so well that his master gave him lands and titles and all the things that he could ever want. But one day he did something very stupid, and he challenged his lord. He said, "No, Lord, I'm not going to do that." And what happened then is the Lord removed everything. He took his lands away, he took his titles away, he ostracized him, he banished him from the fiefdom that the warlord, his lord, controlled. So he suffered all 8 winds, and the 8 winds are success and failure, fame and disrepute, pleasure and pain, praise and blame. Success and failure, praise and blame, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute. So he was experiencing all the positive winds, all the warm winds, as I've heard it described, in his life. And then through one action, and we know we're not the doer of our actions, he did something that was judged to be very stupid. And all the cold winds, the disrepute, the failure, the pain, and the feeling of being an abject failure. And he wrote to his Lord and said, I'm just so sorry I did that. And his Lord wrote back and said, basically, I don't care. You betrayed my trust. You paid the price. I wish you well. And he did regain some in serving another Lord. He did recover again. He did get some kind of fame again, and success, and honour, instead of the disrepute, the fame. I'm looking at my notes here. I don't normally make notes. This is a problem. That's why I don't do it. Is I keep referring to it. The pleasure and the pain. He did get all the warm winds back again in his life, but he did suffer terribly. And in fact, in Japan, there is this. It's what they call Bushido. They're what do you call it? Their approach to life. That if you suffer disrepute to such an extent, is that you commit suicide, harikiri, actually disembowel yourself, usually in front of your Lord, your Master. And the practice went on till, it probably still does, I'd imagine, in some form, although it's probably illegal now. I don't know what I'm talking about. But it would happen during the Second World War, for instance, if a Japanese officer lost a battle or whatever, then he would, or a general, and they were captured, they would commit harikiri. But there you go. The 8 winds of the world. We're all subjected to them, and we're not taught about this at school. There is a saying in England that life ain't a bowl of cherries, but that all these things can happen to you. They're going to happen to you, and they just have to be born, really. I've gone through all the 8 winds, all the 8 winds of the world in my in my lifetime. I was. Anyway, not going to go into it because it sounds too self-indulgent, but just take it from me, it can be very, very painful. It is painful. But if you know about this theory, if you like, this concept of the 8 winds of the world, when it does start happening to you, it can make life a bit easier, as Ramesh says. Or simpler, not easier, but certainly simpler. Yeah, everything just happens. Everything happens. In order for A to happen, B has to happen. In order for B to happen, B happens so C can happen. C happens so D can happen. D happens so E can happen. And Ramesh would say that the arrow points both ways. In order for E to happen, D had to happen. In order for D to happen, C had to happen. Now C could be one of these cold winds, pain, for instance. And I gave the instance of in a previous video. Everything just happens, I think it was called. I don't know what number it is. That you can be crossing the road to catch a bus, and all sorts of outcomes can happen. You can get to the other side, catch the bus, and get home in 20 minutes. You can cross the road, the bus sails past because it's full and nobody wants to get off at that stop. You have to catch the next bus and you get home 30 minutes later. Or you stood at the bus stop and your friend drives a big new car stops, the window winds down, it's one of your friends. Oh, I've just got my new car. Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, jump in, I'll give you a lift home. And on the way home, you arrange to go to his house for dinner on the weekend. Or you could wake up in hospital because you've stepped in front of a motorbike you didn't see, the motorbike's run you over, you've ended up in hospital. You've broken your leg, you've been concussed, lost a lot of blood, wake up in hospital in a lot of pain. Not an outcome that you would have wanted at all. But that has happened, and when you do wake up, there's this nurse, could be male or female nowadays, who you end up marrying and having children with and spending 45 years of married life with. So this cold wind of pain, you could say failure to catch your bus, you meet the love of your life. So whatever's happening may not be to your preference, but if you can recognise that it's just a happening, it's all out of your control. Nothing's really in our control. We think it is, but it's not. But something really wonderful can come out of it. But at the time, there you are in hospital, your leg's gone in plaster, your head's all bandaged up, terrible, terrible headache. They've had to operate on your arm because you broke your arm, got to put pins in there, an enormous amount of pain. But out of that pain comes the most amazing pleasure. So there you are, the 8 winds of the world. Just recognising, this is disrepute. And it just seems to me in this age of, in 2023, with the age of the internet and social media, there's this, I don't use it myself, this app called Twitter that I think Elon Musk has recently bought it for hundreds of millions of pounds so people can have freedom of speech on it. And we've got sort of they talk about national treasures, and I guess he is in a way. If you like football, we have a football commentator called Gary Lineker, who used to be quite a successful footballer, um, and was never. I think he was the only player who was never ever booked or given a yellow card because of his demeanour was so sportsmanlike and moral, if you like. Um, Anyway, he's now, or he was, one of our top football commentators on the BBC, which is like the national broadcaster in the UK. So, I think called Match of the Day with millions and millions of viewers. If you're into your football, you always tune into Match of the Day. And I don't know, Gary Lineker was on Twitter, and he tweeted something. I think you get about 40 or 45. That what the British government are doing about immigrants coming to this country. They're coming in little boats over from France. They're escaping war and famine and God knows what in places like Afghanistan and Syria. It's funny. Anyway, what they're doing is saying these people can no longer claim asylum here. They should claim it somewhere else, in contravention of international law, really, on asylum seekers, international treaties. And Gary Lineker just tweeted something like the language being used by the British government over what they see as illegal immigrants, reminds me of what happened in Germany in the Second World before and during the Second World War. And there's this hell to pay. I think he's lost his job, because of a BBC employee, commentator. He's not allowed to express an opinion. He's not allowed to criticise the government, which is basically government, it's run by the government. And so we're sort of going back to a censorship of speech. We've lost our freedom of speech in this country, Ben. And I think first of all, they suspended him from commentating on Match of the Day, and then other commentators said, well, if you're going to do that to Gary, I'm not taking part anymore. I'm not quite sure what the upshot is, but I'm told he's not on Match of the Day anymore. So there you can go from, enormous fame and being held in very high regard. And I'm not to say that he's not held in high regard by people still. It's just that he's lost his job for the time being or whatever. So you can, just one tweet can, end I don't know how old Gary Lineker is. I suppose he's in his mid-50s now. So probably, 30 odd years of playing football and commentating on football comes to an abrupt end because he's criticised the government. And I think some of the language that was being used by the British government was reminiscent of what was being said in Nazi Germany. But there you go. The 8 winds of the world. They're going to blow on all of us. Fame and disrepute. Success and failure. Pleasure and pain. Well, there you are. So when the cold winds blow, you can say to yourself, yeah, this too shall pass. Because everything changes. Everything changes. Anyway, there you are. So if you enjoyed this video, can you push the subscribe button? If you liked it, push the thumbs up. That helps the channel and helps YouTube decide who likes what and who this is presented to. If you've got any questions, I'd love for people to ask questions. Do so in the comments box or make a comment. That would be great. Or you send me an email. I'll answer any questions. I do one-to-ones. I go into companies and look at the dynamics. Quite happy to do that. If you want to email me about that. Or if you just think I can help and the one-to-one. And if you want to give me a donation, great. If you think I helped. Or if you've got no money, if you're at your wit's end, you just want someone to talk to, then I'll do that as well. Anyway, there you are. Thank you very much, and do take care.